The fact that we need different color modes for print and for screen, where is it that you change this? If, say, you went to make a new document and you didn't remember in time and you set it up as RGB. Well, up here in image, we've got a lot of tools that we'll go into, but a lot of really good tools live in here. But the very first thing is your color mode. So this way you can go ahead and change RGB to CMYK. Now you'll want to make sure if you do need to change this, do this before you do anything else. Otherwise you're going to get an error box. It's going to ask you if you want to flatten, all these other things. It's best to really start off making your document in the correct color mode for what you want in order to kind of start from scratch in the right settings, and you know then that the colors you're seeing are going to be the colors you're going to get at the end. So make sure that this is set to the right setting right from the get-go. We'll look later at what errors you're going to get and what you can do if you need to switch back and forth. But for right now, just make sure that when you start off, you're in the right space. Now, the other thing that I had mentioned in this section is to remember about resolution. So I just want to show you where you can make sure that you're set the right resolution in the document that you're working on. So if you go ahead, next thing down is adjustments. We're going to go into some of those and some of my favorites of those in a later set of slides. But then you're going to go down here to your image size and canvas size. Now, I want to let you know the difference between these two because it can be a little bit confusing. Image size is fixed in terms of this is where your height and width are locked together in proportion. You can see that here from your little lock guy. So right here you can see that I'm setting my correct resolution of pixels per inch. If you change anything in here, Photoshop is going to redraw your entire canvas, and you can kind of tell that here by the fact that it's asking how you want to do this redrawing. So you want to make sure that if you are changing in here, if you change it all, you want to go to a smaller, a lower resolution rather than going up. Because remember, you can kind of get rid of data, but adding new data. If you make something bigger, then Photoshop has to guess, has to figure out what data should go in to fill in those blanks. And so whenever you do that, things tend to end up blurry, they look pixelated, it doesn't look good. And if you do change the dimensions in here, you can look at this and say inches, it's 11 by 17. If I were to not have these guys locked together, it would like squish my image. It would be like if you took something and were scaling it and you didn't keep it in proportion. So things would look really funny and weird and it wouldn't look great. So this is actually like redrawing your image to change the resolution or to change the size. So again, if you realize that you've set this up wrong, make sure that that's changed before you start bringing in elements you want to work with. The next one down is canvas size, which is different. Canvas size is like the physical thing that your image is sitting inside of. It's a bit like the artboard when you're working in Illustrator, where you could make that canvas, that artboard, bigger or smaller, and it didn't affect the logo you had sitting inside of it. This is basically the space that your photo, that your text, whatever is sitting in. And so you can crop it. Again, if you make it bigger, you'll see that it's saying right here that it's going to plop a color maybe behind it. So in this case, let's just say I wanted to make the width 20. You can see here, it's going to then make it bigger, but I can either have it be the same on both sides, or I can say I only want it to extend to the right. So this sometimes might happen if you've got a photograph and you want to include the whole photograph and you need to resize things. But I just want to show you what happens if I go from 11 to 20 in the width, I make it red. You see that nothing happened to my white. It didn't make it bigger. It just made that canvas bigger on the right-hand side. I'm going to undo that. But the canvas doesn't redraw your image. It just makes the space around your image bigger or smaller. So again, you could crop things out. Whereas your image size redraws your image new each time. So that's a really important difference to understand.